is a rare opportunity of interacting with friends from PUCL, which has been in the forefront of human rights struggle in this country. But for the PUCL, I'm sure the situation of human rights in this country would have been far worse. People with courage and conviction have been working, and their concerns for democracy have been very genuine. And perhaps again it is now for the PUCL to carry the debates, including the demonetization or fundamentalism. And when I was to come to Mysuru to give lectures in the academic staff college, one of my friends, Babaya, suggested why not you give a lecture in Mysuru, and then he contacted Dr.Haragopal, and I immediately accepted, not because I know more than what members here know, but it's more like sharing the concerns, and I have been reflecting on this issue. Now when you talk of the demonetization, as all of you are aware, it was a sudden decision. It was a decision by the Prime Minister, although now the Reserve Bank says that it was consulted, we really don't know. This pressure on the Reserve Bank has been there for quite some time. Demonetization pressure has been there. This was there from the days of even Y.V. Reddy, who happens to be a friend of ours. But given the robust common sense of Y.V. Reddy, he withstood the pressure. This pressure was there even during the Congress period. Now, then Subbarao, they thought Rajan will be more amenable because they brought him directly from IMF. But even Rajan realized that decisions of this kind will have far more serious consequences. So they brought Will Patel and now got this entire policy enforced on this country, which had taken most of us aback, because at least we have been listening to this. But what is very important is that the stated objectives, that demonetization will fight terrorism, funding of terrorism will come down, it will bring black money back into the main economy, it will reduce corruption. Now these objectives, stated objectives by Prime Minister, are alright for popular consumption. And people of this country seem to be buying that argument in a way. But the real objective of demonetization is certainly not any of these objectives. Terrorism is there in the country, or extremism is there, not because they have funding. It's not funds will produce terrorism, it's not funds will produce. Objective context in a society produces the reaction of the people. If Adivasis are fighting, they are not fighting because they have a lot of funds, money is available. I have had the opportunity of going to Chhattisgarh. I was dealing with an abduction case of a collector. 15 days we were dealing with the tribals. So I had gone to deep forest, Dari, Orissa. I don't think that the tribals of this country are fighting just because they have funds. They are fighting because they are facing life and death problem. It's the very model of development that we have unleashed on this country has its own implication and it has its own logic. Once you go for a model of this kind, a neoliberal model, I think it has its own logic. So therefore, this stated objective of black money, terrorism, corruption, these are not stated objectives. It's a part of a model of development, and I am keeping on repeating this point because simultaneously, when India went for demonetization, 2 more countries also have done this in the same breath. One is Venezuela, the other is Poland. Both of them went for demonetization. Now, there must be some logic that why Poland, particularly Venezuela. Now, Venezuela has posed a challenge to imperialism after Chavez took over because he was inspired by Castro. And Castro and Chavez, when they were to meet, Che Guevara's granddaughter has written a very interesting episode that when Chavez wanted to meet Cuba President Castro, American Foreign Office advised Chavez not to go to Cuba. And when Chavez told Cuba President Castro, then Castro said, be careful. If America or Foreign Office rang you up, don't take too much of risk. So he said that, all right, you come to my country. But he suggested how he should move. So Castro suggested that as Chavez moves towards Cuba, every 5 kilometers he must hold a public meeting in the country, in his own country. And if he is holding a public meeting in every 5 kilometers, the people of the country should be removed continuously. All people should be removed. Then America can't operate. If people are removed, if people are confined to their houses, CIA can operate. This is, Castro learned from his own experience because he survived so many attacks on him. And he survived the attacks largely because of the people of Cuba. And then he said, when you enter my country, I will hold a huge public meeting, and that's how we meet. So this Cuba and Venezuela of late posed a challenge to imperialism in two different ways. And after Castro's death, now they worked very hard and saw that Cuba compromises with the international financial agencies, sanctions have been lifted, and they want to prove to the world no other alternative experiment is possible. Why they are interested in Cuba is no other alternate experiment is possible. Then Venezuela. Now they entered Venezuela. And now they are pressurizing Venezuela, and Venezuela also moved closer to America after Chavez's death. And both the countries, America overworked, partly to prove that in no corner of the world any alternative model should exist. This is broadly, imperialism always has this intrinsic logic of capturing every corner of the world. Nowhere, if you see Guantanamo Bay, or in the shock doctrine book, that in Guantanamo Bay they are working on the prisoners and torturing them, and they are trying to see that how people will forget welfareism. What methodology should be used to make people to forget welfareism, because they are saying welfareism is an embryonic form of communism. If you want to wipe out communism, you must also wipe out the idea of welfareism. State giving any support, state giving aid, state interfering, and so that the market is completely free to do whatever it wants to. So therefore there is a logic of imperialism. Globalization has its own logic, and therefore these two countries and India, all of them have gone for this demonetization. But very surprisingly, since Poland had a major struggle, and of course the Chavez himself carried a major struggle in an army coup, then he came to power inspired by Castro. So with the result, I think Venezuela still retained some militancy, and the minute the demonetization took place, there were riots in the streets. There were riots, looting, and the government of Venezuela got frightened and they withdrew the decision. Within 3 days, Venezuela had to withdraw the decision. And in Poland, thousands of people demonstrated against the. Coming to India, it is surprising to each one of us sitting here that is more than 40 days, people of India patiently standing in the queue, getting a little annoyed, but the whole nation, because I was in Nagaland, demonetization took place and I went to Assam. Whether it is Assam, whether it is Nagaland, whether it is the West Bengal, because these are the states I was visiting, Kerala. You go to any part of India, you find that there is queue and queue. And people are neither questioning, they are getting a little annoyed, but obviously people have bought the argument that the black money will come out. If the black money will come out, then the government of India is going to give cash, whatever black money comes into the government account, it's going to be directly transferred to the poor people of this country. Because the present Prime Minister promised in last election that he brings the black money from Swiss bank, which is stashed there. He said each family will get 15 lakhs. Whether people believe it or not, but he used this, that 15 lakhs. Now, when you look at the cultural resources or cultural pattern of this country, I think this country, I have a feeling that I need to be, collect further more evidence. But the Sangha Parivar has been experimenting with the rumors in this country and very successful. In 1971, I still remember in Hyderabad that they said whole Hyderabad is getting inundated. Lakhs of people in Hyderabad ran helter and skelter. Lakhs of people without any exception. Whole Hyderabad was running. Just because a rumor. And Ganesh drinking milk. No, I was in Assam, even a Muslim woman was asking Hindus, please offer my milk to the Lord Ganesh because he drinking milk. Muslim woman. Now in other words, the Ganesh drinking the milk has gone such a wildfire. Whole nation believed that the Ganesh is drinking the milk. I think the type of rumors are Gujarat model of development. It's just a rumor. You go to Gujarat and see what is happening in Gujarat. And we have already seen last 2 years what's happening in Gujarat. But the Gujarat model of development in Hyderabad, one intermediate boy was telling his father, please vote for BJP. Because in Gujarat, the bus stand is better than our international airport. This boy believes. People are believing misinformation or wrong information or whatever is there. But somehow the cultural character of this country is to somehow survive believing something. Maybe because of mythology, maybe because of incarnation, maybe because of karma theory. One has to get into the cultural politics. But demonetization will bring black money, and the black money will be, given. And already some of the branch managers in Hyderabad were telling me that people are coming and asking, have the money been transferred? How much of money is credited to my account? The innocence of the people. Innocence of, or it may happen that maybe before UP elections are declared, when the date is yet to be decided, he may even transfer some money. Hard cash may be transferred to the voter. And then, they start believing that they got some cash because of the demonetization. One needs to go into deeper analysis of culture, cultural, systems, cultural beliefs. But definitely, for all of us, including PUCL, one of the concerns should be that when a decision, as Madam mentioned, so which is where in a democracy, any policy making should be preceded by a debate in the society. That's a marker of democracy. The marker of democracy is debate and discussion. What Amartya Sen said, argumentative. Argument is supposed to be the marker of democracy. And there was no debate. And institutions are also very important for democracy. Because institutions enjoy certain autonomy from the existing political system. But the Reserve Bank, today, perhaps in the last 89 of the existence of Reserve Bank, first time it's delegitimized. People are really today debating, nobody knew what Reserve Bank does and all that. And I don't think any Reserve Bank governor ever in this country was heckled, which happened to the present Reserve Bank governor. But Stiglitz, who has been working on globalization, in one of his essays he has written that subverting the federal banking system, subverting the federal banks is a part of globalization. You have to subvert the federal bank. That's very important because in a financial capital, the Reserve Bank enjoying legitimacy and the type of sanctity that it is enjoying is coming in the way of this globalization, and the Reserve Bank has to be delegitimized. And therefore today, people are asking questions, what is the Reserve Bank governor doing? He has not even spoken, he has not even talked. And it is his signature on our note, not the Prime Minister's signature. Reserve Bank is an institution in which we all of us have confidence. Banking sector has a confidence. And once Reserve Bank governor signs, all of us are trusting. But who is Prime Minister to make this announcement? That's the question. If you are to talk the functioning of the democratic institutions, then it's the Reserve Bank, because it has a contract with all of us, and we have a trust in it, and the Reserve Bank governor has signed on the notes, and therefore it is the Reserve Bank governor who is responsible to us, because he promised us. But how Prime Minister declared after this regime came, no institution survives or enjoys legitimacy. They have subverted good universities, they have subverted the very excellent institutions, cabinet system of government, parliament, they are not, prime minister is not sitting in the parliament. Nehru, to build the legitimacy of the parliament, used to sit from morning to evening as the prime minister, because he wanted to give legitimacy that prime minister is supreme, parliament is supreme. But today, prime minister doesn't attend the parliament, he talks only outside. People are asking, why don't you come to the parliament? He says that people are not allowing me to talk. Who can prevent prime minister of this country from talking in parliament? They don't want parliament to enjoy legitimacy. They don't want any institution. If you look at the subversion, not only of the Reserve Bank and the banking sector, look at the way they have subverted the University Grants Commission, which has been an apex body of higher education. Today, University Grants Commission is an institution which is so disempowered. We feel sad. That was the institution all of us respected. But today you go to UGC, clerk of the MHRD can dictate to the UGC chairman. What happened to UGC? Now what happened to your CSIR, which played such in half of the fund they have cut? And 8 or 9 universities, taking University of Hyderabad, Jawaharlal University, Allahabad University, Nagpur University, Baroda, take all these universities, Aligarh, they have suffered. They created crisis in all good universities in this country. Not bad universities which have collapsed. Good universities. And under some pretext or other, so subversion of institutions is a part of the model of development. And that's the only way that imperialism can expand. That's the only way imperialism can push through. Now, this entire process of globalization, how the policy making is made under the globalization, I think one of the best examples that I think friends here know is of the Delhi University. Delhi University, which is again a prestigious university, I was a part of that university for a short while, and it enjoys, there are very outstanding academics in the Delhi University, and Manmohan Singh himself is the product of the Amartya Sen himself is the Delhi University product. And that Delhi University, suddenly Kapil Sibal has taken a decision to introduce 4-year degree course, and it was pushed through almost authoritarianism, and almost they put the police and paramilitary forces to push 4-year degree course. With the boys were opposed, faculties opposed, parents were opposed, but they were pushing through. We were continuously asking a question, why are you pushing through 4-year degree course? Who asked you? Did we debate in the country? Did we ever debate? I have been teaching for the last 4 to 5 decades. I have never debated whether 3 years versus 4 years. Never happened. Even the Kothari Commission recommended, nobody debated whether it should be 10 plus 2 plus 4 or 2 plus 3. No. Everybody agreed this formula. Now, if everybody agreed to the formula, supposing you have an argument that knowledge explosion has taken place, 3-year degree course is not able to absorb the knowledge, therefore we should have 4-year degree course, is okay, there can be an argument. But the only reason why they have introduced 4-year degree course was, America has a 4-year degree course. And since American universities are coming to India, right, and if the Indian students with 3-year degree course join American universities, the parity will be lost. And American student can as well ask that if 3-year degree course boy is qualified or a girl qualified to join American university, why you are making us to study 4 years? And that's the reason why they introduce 4-year degree. Otherwise there is no reason. And it has gone into terrible problems and lakhs of students are affected. Now why I am saying this is how institutions are subverted. And Stiglitz, when he is arguing subversion of the institutions, in fact he mentions federal bank. Legitimacy of federal bank in any country is a problem to imperialism. And how do you destroy the bank and the faith in the bank, the trust in the bank? And I think demonetization has achieved, one shot, 2 birds. Right? The Reserve Bank now doesn't know what to do, and they are not able to produce the currency, it's not in their hands. There was no strategy, nothing. And the minute the policy is implemented to satisfy the global economic forces, because ever since Modi has been brought by the corporate media into power without any track record, except the Gujarat riots of 2002, which has absolutely no track record for anybody to be qualified to prime minister of the country. But they knew that the Congress party was becoming softened. Congress party was not able to push through certain reforms, and they needed a ruthless, person with a huge border and with an ideology of fundamentalism that they thought that only this fellow can push through the reforms Manmohan Singh was not able. If you look after the BJP took over, right, whatever was the agenda of the Congress party, Manmohan Singh, Chidambaram, right, that agenda has been pushed through faster, more forcefully than what Manmohan Singh and Chidambaram could do, because Congress party has inner tensions, inner fissions. The BJP has a unit of command. Their culture is completely different. No BJP man, and Prime Minister also has become. Manmohan Singh was shocked. At least someone could go. Everybody could go and argue with the Prime Minister. With this Prime Minister, nobody can argue. They needed this symbol. They needed this powerful symbol to push through their reforms. And with the result, if Manmohan Singh was running, this Prime Minister is running faster than Manmohan Singh. And with the result, all economic reforms that they are introducing, and one after the other, land, occupation, the Land Acquisition Act, GST. Why did they have gone for GST in a federal society? In a federalism, why have they gone for goods and service taxes? Every state has certain power, economic power to tax. Now they have taken the taxation power of the state government, right? And the argument of the global economic agencies, did Government of India for GST, was that if every state has its own tax policy, for us investment becomes difficult. Investment needs a predictable climate, such an environment that we will not have any uncertainty, and we should have a single tax system, then only will come and invest. Then so obviously GST, Congress itself was trying, but these people came and pushed it through GST. And Congress agreed finally, the Rajya Sabha. Because Congress also wanted to do that, they could not do it. And ever since these people came, whatever Jaitley is doing, Chidambaram had lot of praise for Jaitley. Very good. Yes, this is what we wanted. Even Sonia Gandhi said, they are carrying our agenda. What more evidence you require? She said that they are carrying our agenda. Then see what is the difference between Congress party and they were pushing reforms slowly. This government is pushing the reforms very fast. And now with the result, what is happening is that in the process of pushing through the reforms, now the entire present political dispensation in Delhi, right, they have become ruthless. They have become absolutely ruthless. And it's a centralized authority. But the economic logic, as far as I understand and whatever little I read about the demonetization, is that why imperialism wants this? What is the logic of imperialist model? Now, you know that imperialism is monopolizing the economy. The resources have to be centralized. And if you go to China, or you see India, or you see America, today 1% versus 99. The super rich of China, India and America, they are comparable. We have 4 richest people of the world in the top 10 from India. From India, 4 richest people of the world. The money, the resources have to be centralized. That's the model. The monopolization of the resources. Now for the monopolization of the resources, all these days whatever restrictions were there, import restrictions were there, regulations were there, deregulation has taken place and all that, market enjoys relatively more freedom and the market started monopolizing the resources. And the state has to disinvest. Whatever public enterprises we have built, that entire public enterprise had to be disinvested and the private fellows bought the public enterprises. Now, with the result, the public enterprise which is built by the labor of this country for decades, and these Navaratnas are the prestige and the symbol of the country, and each one was running very well. Now they want complete disinvestment and they are put for auction in the market. Where is the need? Why are you selling them? That's all. The model is that. Model is that this public investment, public enterprise, state investment, state involvement should be out, and the market should have the complete monopoly. With the result, this 1% of the rich, super rich, of these 3 countries, if you take that as an example. Now this super rich, and in the world, super rich, this nexus between the super rich, and therefore the resources will always move towards the monopoly. And what happened in India, we will see soon the consequences, that there are 5 crore business establishments in the country, like the small shop that you see in Mysuru. Such establishments, for shops and shops, such establishments are 5 crores. And this digital machine, this swipe or whatever it is, there are 14 lakhs swipe. Now how are you going to meet the demand with the 14 lakh machines? When there are 5 crore business establishments. But if you look at what happened to the small trader, right, and who is in the market, neither can become super rich, nor can slip. They have been surviving. And they provided 5 crores, you imagine how much of employment they are providing. At least 10 to 15 crores people are working in this establishment. But when I went to Kerala after demonetization, I went from Cochin about 200 kilometers. I was traveling with a friend of mine. And these days aircraft don't serve the breakfast and all that. I got down, it was early morning. He said, sir, we'll have a breakfast, there's a good hotel. We went on searching for hotel after hotel. And he said, sir, there is a good hotel, closed. He said, 20 kilometers another hotel. He said, closed. Finally, there are only 2 hotels, run by a private fellow, run by the tourism department of Kerala. All other hotels are closed. Why? Because there is no cash. Imagine so many hotels are pushed out of the market. Now this entire trading community, which has a little economy, right, little economy, this has to go to bank. This has to go to bank. Because this entire resource, they tried the self-help groups of the women, the small savings and all that. That money has gone to the bank and the bank started commanding those resources. Today, everybody's money has to go to bank. If everybody's money goes to bank, the whole economy is dependent on the bank and banks are under their control. And for what purpose they will use the money, that's for them to use. And for what purpose they will. Now with the result, this destruction of the medium economy, destruction of this medium entrepreneurs, right, is a part of the monopoly tendencies of economy. Now therefore, the immediate concept, people are not realizing the huge poor people of this country, now who have a very little purchasing power, are not even able to grapple with the question. But the traders, now they really do not know, many of them are out of work. Talk to anybody. Talk to anybody. They are hit by this program, policy. But at the same time, they are saying black money will come out. The super rich fellows will suffer. In fact, the policy is to help them. But that's an intrinsically logical development. See, a marriage, I attended a marriage in Hyderabad after demand just last week. They spent 100 crores, can you believe? 100 crores. And when the demonetization takes place, raids are taking place, the man who performed this marriage is not afraid. He is not afraid. He knows that the political system belongs to him, power belongs to him. Otherwise, how can he do that? Invited 5 to 10,000 people. And you go to that marriage, first there were, camels, and after the camel there were horses, then there were soldiers, and for 1 furlong, 2 furlong, soldiers were standing with, prayers and all that, with bulletproof jackets. And then the girls, young girls, of all states, with Gujarat, Maharashtra, with the dresses, they were all standing, these young girls, 16 to 20 years age group, for hours together, like toys. What is this happening? If you had attended that marriage, I think you would have immediately got how this fellow, when demonetization has taken place, fight against the black money is taking place, and the Prime Minister is every day threatening that we are going to attack you, we are going to raid you. Why this man was not afraid? At least for public opinion's sake. Income Tax Department would watch. They are very safe. They know that they are very safe. What happened to here in Karnataka? The demonetization was taking place, the marriage was taking place. And he was not afraid. Some raiding has taken place because the public opinion was suddenly turned, and then government media thought that the whole thing, then therefore some raid has happened. What happened? Have they arrested anybody? Is anybody pushed behind bars? See, to believe that the super rich will be hit is not a part of the logic of development. That's what I'm saying. It's not the logic of development. So if it is not a part of the logic of development, super rich are very safe. Reliance welcomed it. If the super rich were to be hit, he is the super rich. He is the richest man of the country. Now, Reliance should have said that, at least they should have been hesitant, at least they should have made a public statement that is done in an arbitrary manner. But on the contrary, the Reliance welcomed the decision. What does it mean? If the Ambanis are welcoming the decision, what does it mean? And we are being told that the super rich will be hit by this. Their money will come. That the entire, the economy, will become very Swachh economy, Swechha, whatever is that, Swachh Bharat. And on the currency note, they have written Swachh Bharat. Currency note, Gandhi's classes and Swachh Bharat. Now, see it, that by cleansing the currency, you get Swachh Bharat. Now, in other words, people are saying that the black money will be distributed. But the question one has to ask is, that who allowed this black money to be accumulated? Who allowed it? Ask any income tax commissioner. At least my students are income tax commissioners in different parts of the country. Your Bangalore income tax commissioner was there, or the Karnataka income tax commissioner. My own state had an income tax commissioner. And in Chennai, I had a student, one day in aircraft, he met me. And not before demonetization, I am saying, before demonetization. And he was telling, sir, I will give you the villages and villages. What is Karnataka's asset? What is Jayalalitha's asset? What is, Maran's asset? He said that I have a complete list. It's not that the government of India does not have the list of black money people. If you wanted to attack, you could have attacked. Don't need to bring, this entire demonetization put crores of people to the suffering just to bring that black money, which is concentrated in 1 or 2%, people's hands. To put 1 or 2% people's money back into the mainstream economy, you can't put 97% of the people. But the 97% of the people have come to believe that the money will be transferred to them. Like Ganesh drinking the bill. Right? I mean, that's the same thing, Gujarat model of development. Our Hyderabad is completely submerged in water has come. Now this entire process has to be seen as a part of the monopoly of economy, monopolizing economy, small economies destroyed. But the problem, the tension is that basically our economy is a pre-capitalist economy. A huge part of the economy is a small money economy, small transaction economy, still operates as small money lending, it runs on the trust. And this small economy which exists is a part of the pre-capitalist economy. And the demonetization is a post-capitalist solution. It's a neoliberal. It's an advanced capitalism. Demonetization is a part of the advanced capitalism. And you bring the demands and compulsions or whatever of the advanced capitalist economy superimposed on a pre-capitalist society. That's the tension. You soon will see this contradiction. And Sangha Parivar, which is the great support structure, they themselves are now have a tension. Because these fellows are working with the people, with all sectors. What if they are carrying, what ideology they have, but still they have to interact with the people, because they have to go propagate their ideology. And people are asking, and now one of the challenges came within BJP is from the Swadeshi Jagat Manch and then trade union. Now the Swadeshi Jagat Manch and trade union, RSS got the Panagari and the entire Niti Ayog to appear before them. They said, you come and appear before them, why you have taken this decision? Because we have to explain to the people. Now, why this is coming? Because in an economy where the Sangha Parivar operates, whether rural, tribal, wherever they are working, now they know what is happening, and the decision has come from imperialism, not from the RSS. That the job of RSS is to legitimize the BJP so that they will make Hindu Rashtra or whatever is there, if not today, tomorrow. But this fundamentalism, which believes in capturing the entire state and then make it a Hindu Rashtra. Now, this cadre, 25 lakh people, which has a cadre, no other political party has such a cadre. Ideologically motivated, right? And that ideology is the ideology of hatred and all that, whatever it is. But there is a huge cultural force in the country. Organized, trade with lathis, right? If they want, they can become militant, and they have such a huge force. This force is pushing through or help the BJP to push through the reform because they have a garden. And I had a debate with the RSS. Now I was asking the friends on a TV channel, I said that look, you talk of nationalism, patriotism, all that, right? Agreed, you are a nationalist and patriot. Now tell me that foreign universities bill is coming, will you oppose the bill? Because why foreign universities? Your nation should have your own university, Nalanda, Takshish, or whatever. But what foreign universities? The argument of these RSS boys was, sir, we need foreign. I said, why? We need foreign exchange. We need foreign exchange. I said, why? We need foreign exchange to buy the weapons. Why do we want to buy the weapons? We have to fight terrorism. To fight terrorism, we need modern weapons because terrorists have the latest weapons, and Indian defense still doesn't have latest weapons. So I feel so sad that our defense budget, consistently from 1960s, have been rising, and it's one of the most important items of the defense. After going for the nuclear, then we were opposed to the nuclear power. No, then they said defense expenditure will come down. You can reduce the army once you have an atom bomb. Why do you need such a huge army? All these arguments were given to us. Now what happened? You are going on spending, and they saved 2 lakh crores on the petrol. They have not reduced the price, they retained the same price, and all of us paid, and there are 2 lakh crores reserves in the government of India from the petrol and diesel. And our finance minister of Telangana was telling that they had a finance minister, and they asked him, government of India, that what happened to this 2 lakh crores which you saved on the petrol? And why don't you distribute to the states? They said you have to buy the weapons. And their target is 4 lakh crores on petrol and diesel, they want to save and buy the weapons. Already we brought the F-16 and 1 lakh crores we have spent. We went to France. We are going to different countries and say we buy the weapons. And since weapon industry is very powerful in their countries, even Trump has to think twice to criticize India, because India is one of the attractive market for the weapon industry of America. And then I went to see the McDonnell and Douglas company in US, which produces F-16, F-18. So when that fellow gave a lunch, I was also there to jam with me. I asked him that supposing mankind, all nations decide to settle every matter peacefully through negotiations. So what happened to our industry? Then he smiled and said, shall I tell the truth? Then he said, we not only manufacture the weapons, we manufacture war. See, creating a war is the vested interest for them. This entire terrorism and whatever is there. And if the America stops selling these weapons, their economy will collapse, because their economy centers around this weapon industry. Huge resources of America from weapon industry. And with the result, what is happening is that in the name of terrorism, they are asking the developing countries to buy the weapons. And India, because of whatever little surplus that has come from the neoliberal, entire surplus is pumped. Right, it is completely, pumped into the defense industry. In adding to that, they also said that directly will come and invest in the defense production in India. A party which talks of nationalism, a party which talks of patriotism, is a party which has invited foreign direct investment in defense. What happened tomorrow is that fellow withdraws the investment. And all 6 defense laboratories of Telangana in Hyderabad, they went on strike. We don't want foreign investment. They went on strike together, united. We were also a part of that struggle. They were saying, sir, what is this defense production if it comes? It's a secret. Nation secrets are there. People have certain weapons. But they are directly coming and investing in the defense production. So they have come to defense production. You have allowed them to defense production. And then you are talking nationalism and patriotism. Nationalism and patriotism will stand, right, provided nationalism is rooted in your economy. You can't have globalization of economy and nationalization of culture, attitudes and patriotism. Now, Supreme Court also became very patriotic suddenly, and they said all of you should stand, national anthem should be. Now, what is this patriotism suddenly Supreme Court realized? And the problem in the cinema theatre is, when we went to a cinema theatre, the audience are used to a different culture now. So they are taking this American popcorn, and they are carrying a Coca-Cola bottle, and there is no place for that popcorn to be kept. They are holding it in hand and standing there. It's a really paradox that they are holding 2 foreign produced commodities, one in right hand, and they're showing their nationalism. The national anthem is played. I think this is the satire of this country, the paradox of this country. So what I'm saying is, nationalism and patriotism are being used to sustain a sort of the global economy, and that imperialism. Now this marriage, illicit marriage between fundamentalism and imperialism, that I think is now has created a totally new situation in India. And people talk of nationalism. If you talk you are anti-national, you are anti-social, you are anti-development. Now they have the language where each one of us can be dubbed as anti-national. Now we stayed back in this country, we have not gone abroad. And NRIs have become great nationalists and patriots, and we who stayed back in India, we have become anti-national. What a satire, what a paradox. And all NRIs they have become very nationalist. You left the country, fellows, and you are earning your money, and you are talking nationalism. And a Prime Minister they get excited to see the Prime Minister, symbol of nationalism. But where are you? Why have you gone to America? That's it, you have gone, opportunities are there, you make money, is alright. Why do you talk all these things? But wherever Prime Minister has gone, Adani, right, he mobilized the people, everybody knows that, in different parts of the country. So the fundamentalism, which has been sustained for 90 years, 9 decades, today has come to the aid of the state power right, and to the model of development, and the model of development pushed through imperialism, and suddenly you find that imperialism and nations, what you call the fundamentalism of India, suddenly they are meeting each other and cooperating with each other and created a new situation in India. And this debate that's going on the nationalism is very important for us. So therefore, this entire process of globalization of economy starting with 1983 and has taken different form in 1991, and any sensible man in this country who knows a bit of economics should have questioned the entire process of globalization in 1990. Why I am saying this? 1990-80 decade was the best decade by any parameters of Indian economy. 1980s we had no war. 1980s we had no industrial unrest. We had no trade union strikes, and the economy has grown 5.6% rate of growth, 2.5 to 5.6%. You were double rate of growth. Now your rate of growth has gone up, right? And there was no industrial unrest. Agriculture did better. There was no war, right? And 1990 we are told Indian economy is in deepest crisis. Nation has lost its balances. Nation has now credibility is in question. 20 tons of the gold, which was caught in the smuggling, which was not lying directly, and that was lying with the government of India, not with the Reserve Bank. And now they tell us that this 20 tons of gold was rushed without informing the nation to meet this crisis. Who created the crisis? I am asking, in 1960s, 1950s, 1970s, I can understand India in crisis. 1980s, when your economy has done better, right, your economy was in a deep crisis. And therefore, 91 we were told there is no option, TINA, there is no alternative except for full-length economic reforms. And once economic reforms we have gone, we must also remember 1983, first when nation's economy was opened to the global market, Bharatiya Janata Sangh has 2 seats, only 2 MPs. And as the economic reforms picked up, Bharatiya Janata Party also picked up. Very interesting, it's a contrast. Globalization is capitalism. Globalization is capitalism. We have taken to capitalist path. What is capitalism? Capitalism is liberalism. Capitalism is institutional by say. Capitalism is productive. Capitalism is freedom. Capitalism created its own culture. Because that's how capitalism has grown, by building institutions, universities, and the rule of law, constitutional governance, legitimate political parties, institutional autonomy. These are all part of a capitalist economy. Now, in a capitalist economy, when you have a capitalist economy, if you read these requirements, on the one hand you said we opted for the capitalist path of development, but you have done exactly the opposite as far as your institutions, your values, your politics are concerned. Because once capital comes from outside, it can't accept. And it's also very interesting. There is a McDonald's, there is the entire Coca-Cola, and all these things are there. The fellows who are fighting Valentine Day do not go and fight McDonald's. They do not fight McDonald's. Only Valentine Day is their problem. That boy and girl moving together, with that they are not tolerating. That has become a major problem. Like in the economy, when you have already globalized, in culture, you are talking on the Valentine Day. Women of this country were fighting for 33% reservation in the parliament. Last 2.5 years, they are fighting entry into temple. Parliament has gone. If women enter the parliament, they can as well pass a legislation that we want to enter the temple. But a political struggle, a democratic struggle by women has become a cultural struggle. And for a reactionary, but entry into temple, yes, I mean, as an equal, and she should enter the temple. But there is a big fight going on. And now they have taken up that woman's entry into the temple. Woman's entry into the temple, right, has become a major issue. Now, in other words, the issues that are in the public discourse are not issues of life and death, unemployment, inequality, poverty, education, literacy, production, growth. Growth not of this false or fraud growth, growth in a real sense of the producing the material wealth. Our manufacturing sector is shrinking. Manufacturing sector should expand in capitalism. Capitalism means expansion of manufacturing. That way China is in a far better position because their manufacturing sector is 39%. Ours is 16%. Our manufacturing in our economy is 16%. With 16%, it is very difficult for the nation to become capitalist. Now therefore, once you have opted for a capitalist path of development, since the capitalist path of development is not a development which will benefit all people of India in terms of employment, the poverty reduction or education or health, if you are not health, then you need an ideology which can sustain politics. So the politics of this country, from Indira Gandhi days to poverty debate, to Modi days, when you have, although they talk about the economic model of development, but finally politics move to cultural terrain. They move to cultural terrain. Today, the fight is not for employment, not food security, not reduction of inequalities. The entire question has become cultural questions. Whether the triple talaq should be there or not. As if they are very interested in the dignity of Muslim women. And somebody, in the staff college, they were asking me, sir, what is wrong? Women's rights are important. Triple talaq, right? When the Uniform Civil Code debate came, I had a debate on a TV channel, a mullah, a Muslim, preacher, and a Christian father, and one person from Muslim Hindu person, myself. Now, it could have ended up with a big fighting operation between Christian Hindu person and the mullah. I only said that in the Uniform Civil Code, there should be property right for women. All three joined together. Started fighting with me. While you are, see, I said, if you want Uniform Civil Code, let all religions accept woman is equal. Now, it is not the property rights for women, it is a triple talaq. The triple talaq, even if you abolish, if a Muslim woman has a right to property, even if this will abandon her, she will have something to sustain. She will have something to survive. And she will go. She will say, all right, no, help me, I have property and survive. I am an independent woman. So if you want to restore the dignity of woman, there has to be some substantial policy. What the point in talking only triple talaq? But the issues that are being publicly debated are issues which do not address the fundamental questions of politics, democracy and economy. That's what I am saying. They are not addressing the fundamental questions. They are diverting the question. The debate is perverted. And there we have to be very careful. When an organization like PUCL, when it takes up the debate, like demonetization, fundamentalism, globalization, then it gives us the possibility of addressing the fundamental questions. That what is your mode of development, what is your economic development, what is your growth rate, where are you spending the money, what is your welfare expenditure. Can you believe in the last budget, 30,000 crores for higher education was cut, 16,000 crores for health was cut, 1,600 crores for the child nutrition was cut, 47% of children of this country are malnourished, and you have cut 1,600 crores, children of this country, future of this country. At least future generation should be healthy, na? If our generation has been born, but let them be healthy country, you are talking about a great India. Why have you cut 1,600 crores on the nutritious food? See, any model of development does not tolerate welfareism. Whatever money you spend on welfareism, imperialism is opposed to it. And therefore they have made this government cut entire expenditure on health, education, child nutrition, employment, rural employment. From 550 districts, they brought in 200 districts now, the rural Mahatma Gandhi rural employment scheme. You look at last 2.5 years, this government consistently reduced the budget, all welfare programs. While the economy is growing at 7.5% rate. If the economy is growing, you have more wealth. If you have more wealth, try to spend more on the welfare. That's the idea. No? If you have more wealth, what happens? The government gets more resources, you spend on welfare. This is simple logic. But then, if the economy is growing, the human standards are coming down. The reason is the resources are being monopolized. And they are not allowing the state to spend the money on welfare. And finally, the welfare is brought down to black money. If the black money is out, who prevented them to going for progressive taxation? The entire Scandinavian countries, Sweden, Denmark, Finland, all these countries, what is the direct tax? 60%. Canada has one of my friends from Canada was telling any political party in Canada, if it says that they will reduce the taxation, party will lose the deposit. Because welfareism, they are committed to welfareism so deeply. No party can ever say we'll reduce the welfareism. In Canada, it's a capitalist country. Right? Now, all those countries, the Scandinavian, America itself charges roughly 45%, 40-42. We charge 20%. That 20% also you don't collect properly. If the India's GDP is 120 lakh crores, roughly, if you take 20%, what should be your budget, central budget? At least it should be 25 lakh crores. What is the central? 17 lakh crores. Why you have left that much of huge money outside? 20% I am talking. Who prevents you going for 30%, 40%? And tell the rich people of this country that no, people are languishing, and if this is the poverty, if this is the unemployment among the educated, nation will explode. Rich must be told that if you go on concentrating the wealth like this and do not allow the state to spend on welfare, then there will be a problem. And that's exactly the reason from economic priorities, from economic, certain policies, the debate in politics shifted from economics to culture. And that's why fundamentalism has become extremely important. And fundamentalism, through its own dialogue, is facilitating implementation of economic power where nation is losing its sovereignty. When nation is losing its sovereign power, we are talking of nationalism to compensate. We are not fighting really imperialism. Nationalism is here to fight imperialism. When I was in China, one of the scholars was telling that one of the advantages China has is they carried anti-imperialist struggle so intensely that still nation retains an anti-imperialist system in spite of their economic reforms. Whereas India's anti-imperialist struggle was very deep, and it is so weak, today we are not left with any democratic resources to fight imperialism. And therefore economic reforms and the demonetization has gone so smoothly. Demonetization is still going smoothly. People are not even losing their temper. What a great nation it is. It is disturbing at one hand, but it's also surprising at another. At another level, how many crores of people are standing in the queue for their own money? And nothing happened. No disturbances, nothing. Good. If this is the patience of the people, I think it is good. But the problem is that as Henry David Thoreau, not Thoreau, I'm forgetting the name of who argued with Edmund Burke. See, he says that tolerance and intolerance produce the same results. Dictatorship comes from tolerance and it also comes from intolerance. Tolerance is not necessarily a positive value. I am tolerating a Muslim. What does it mean? I am tolerating a Muslim. That is not putting up forcefully. Tolerance is not a positive value. The dictatorship survives and thrives on tolerance in the people. But if there is a terrible intolerance, in the name of intolerance, they can also bring dictatorship. Now Thomas Paine, who wrote Rights of the Man and of the Citizen, Thomas Paine argues in his book, tolerance and intolerance, they are not opposites, they are the two sides of a coin. And both of them produce the same results. Now in India today you find the enormous patience of the common man, in spite of all the suffering. If this is the level of tolerance, I think we have the whole democratic structure is under threat. What do we do? How do we negotiate? How do we carry the debate? How we raise the public consciousness? I think that is the question for the Democrats who are worried about the future of the country. Democrats who are concerned with the poverty of the people, suffering of the people, hunger of the people. And PUCL as a civil liberties organization has always had this concern, democratic concern. And the democratic concern does include these type of questions. And that's the reason why I thought that demonetization is a part of imperialism. Globalization and imperialism is the highest stage of the whole process of globalization. But fundamentalism has become a shock absorber right through cultural system, and that's how system is sustained and system is maintained. How long it will survive with this formula? What is likely to happen? How the people will react? What will be the alternate forces that will come up in India? What are the alternative democratic forces in India? I think these are the questions. Whether Indian democracy will become vibrant, that depends on all of us. We have to speak out. First thing that we have to speak out. If you do not speak out, what happens is you consent to the system. You consent to it. And that, I think, is one of the things that you have to remember. A last comment I'll make and stop that many people argue that policy is very good but implementation is bad. I was telling my friend Gandhi that this entire formulation is very faulty. I teach public policy in law school, Bangalore. In the public policy, this dichotomy does not exist. That policy is good, implementation is bad. And we always give an example in the class that two rats which were harassed by a cat, they go to a monkey for advice. Monkey says, you become dogs and threaten the cat. Then rats say, we are rats, how do we become dogs? The monkey says, policy formulation my job, implementation is your responsibility. Now that is happening in the market. Demonetization has done. How you implement it? Prime Minister has been very good. Prime Minister is very imaginative. Prime Minister's intentions are very good. Policy is very good. Policy is very good. Implementation is bad. How can any policy which is not implemented is a good policy, tell me? What is the test of a good policy? A good policy is the one which is implemented, implementable, feasible. If I formulate a policy, all poverty in India should disappear, it's not a public policy. Public policy is an action proposal. Public policy should be accompanied with action, and if it is successful in implementation, then it's a good policy. Failed policies are considered as good policies and saying that implementation is very bad and policy is good. Prime Minister is good, advisors are bad. How can a good Prime Minister have bad advisors? Vice Chancellor is good, advisors are bad. And you would not want to challenge the power. So you would not want to challenge the power. The best way is Prime Minister is very good, his intentions are, he's a very honest fellow, he's not corrupt. But I can show in the central cabinet, Gadkari is married, I mean, 100 flights he engaged. He's a cabinet minister. How somebody can get so much of money? Same cabinet. I know a minister, it is from Telangana. So what type of things he does? How many fake industries he has? He's a part of the BJP cabinet. How can you say that the Prime Minister is very honest? Prime Minister is a very good fellow, and Prime Minister's intentions are very good. But what can you do if this type of people are there to implement? That I think our understanding has to be that good policy. Our test should be, whenever you argue with anybody, बाबा देखो पॉलिसी इम्प्लीमेंटेशन हुआ तो अच्छा पॉलिसी. प्रधानमंत्री जो कहता है वो पॉलिसी नहीं है. It's not a policy. Demonetization is good policy.